Hello, welcome to Coventry and part 2 of Secrets of the Coventry Ring Road. In the last episode, we'd explored the first half of this notorious ring road from Junctions 1 to 4. So today we're going to pick things up just after Junction 4 and there's no time to waste, so let's get started. The section of ring road between junctions 4 to 6 would be the final section of the ring road to be completed in 1974. Of course, it wasn't built in junction number order and instead divided into 5 sections and built at random. Interestingly, each section of ring road between the junctions was given its own ringway name, just to confuse matters further. If you want to get a close-up experience and view of the ring road, you can do so from a pair of laybys found at Junction 5. Would you want to? Absolutely not. However, as far as I know, the laybys at Junction 5 are the only examples to be found on the entire length of the ring road. It's most likely that when constructing the junction, they had some space left over which they didn't really know what to do with, so they turned it into these laybys, which is fair enough, but I can't imagine anybody stopping here unless they absolutely had to and there was no other option. There used to be a set of laybys at Junction 6 as well. However, in 2014, this junction saw £15 million worth of redevelopment, drastically changing the road's layout. The original junction was a large roundabout type that looked a bit like this, and an interesting thing to note is the pedestrian footbridge in the middle, which was built on the route of an old road, which was demolished to make way for the ring road. The redevelopment of the junction saw this footbridge removed and replaced with a road, so it's a road replaced by a footbridge reverted back to a road. The main changes to the junction were that the roundabout was removed completely and replaced with a single road, and the ring road had a new feature added by way of a tunnel. I suppose it's more of a case of they just built over the ring road, but a tunnel is a tunnel, and on the top we find a lovely green space for pedestrians. Who needs the countryside when you've got this? But why did they go to all of this trouble? Put simply, it was part of a redevelopment plan that was mainly about creating a new business park next to the ring road. It would involve the demolition of several buildings, and my assumption is that as part of the planning permission they would have needed to make some changes to the surrounding infrastructure, which they did fairly dramatically, spending £15 million in the process. Is it better than before? Just by Junction 6 is this peculiar closed-off slip road. It's a surviving piece of the original Junction 6 layout, although I say that, only a small piece of it is original. During the redevelopment works, the slip road was altered, removing what was once a fairly tight curve and replacing it with a bit more of a sensible option. However, this was only temporary because once the Junction 6 redesign was complete, the slip road was closed off. More changes to the ring road came in 2021, with Junction 7 having a bit of a reshuffle. Like Junction 6, it used to be a roundabout type junction, in this case featuring a lovely car park in the middle. The changes came about in 2021 when Coventry Council were instructed by the government to improve the air quality in the city, otherwise they'd impose a clean air zone which would see certain vehicles banned and other road users charged to drive in the built-up areas. Apparently the solution to all of Coventry's pollution issues lay within Junction 7 of the ring road. Gone was the roundabout and replaced with a road. That's about it. It's said that this road allows traffic to pass through the junction into the city centre more easily, reducing traffic and waiting time at the junction, meaning less pollution or some bollocks like that. On the plus side, pedestrian access has been vastly improved. Or is it removed? There used to be a nice subway system underneath the junction, but it's all been filled in favour of pathways across the road. I think one of the old subway entrances would have been around here somewhere. You can see this wall sort of goes down on a slope into nothing now. Once upon a time, it probably would have carried on down and underneath the road. There were plans to apply another genius idea to Junction 8 to help solve the air quality problems, and the idea was to introduce a left-hand turn off the clockwise entry slip road onto Upper Hill Street. A simple enough task, but I don't see how it solves anything. Their reasoning was that there was a traffic bottleneck on Holyhead Road, and this would allow traffic to bypass it, but come on, this was never going to work, and obviously I'm right because they didn't go through with it. Despite being instructed to sort out the air quality, every year Coventry hosts the Coventry Motorfest, and if you haven't been, you should definitely go. It's a huge automotive festival, if you will, that takes place over the entire city centre. And during the event, the ring road is turned into a racetrack, with the start and finish line being located just by Junction 7, creating a sprint track that uses the normal road infrastructure, and it's wonderful to see cars speeding up and down all day long. And fair play to Coventry Council for letting it go ahead in the first place. It'd be nice to do more things like this all over the country. It's also free entry, so what's not to like? Before we reach Junction 9, there's just about enough space underneath this elevated section of the ring road to hide something rather interesting, and it's this Knowles Mill Underpark. It opened in 2022 and makes use of space that was otherwise sat empty. Described as a linear park, it was built to provide a link from the nearby Knowles Mill Park to the city centre. But rather than just build a path, they turned it into a park within which, and underneath the ring road, you'll find a host of interesting things, including some random ornaments, some excellent lighting, lighting and a climbing wall.
And it's possibly one of the most underwhelming places you can visit in Coventry. Anyway, as for Junction 9 itself, yeah, it's a junction, it's fine. At the junction we find the B4098, which for a short distance either side of the junction is a dual carriageway before it then turns into a single carriageway road. What's the point in these dual carriageways if they don't do anything?
To answer that, you'll need to think back to Part 1 and Junction 1. Like Junction 1, Junction 9 was supposed to connect the inner ring road to a motorway that was planned to be built running from east to west. Because motorway, it would have made sense to construct a nice dual carriageway to and from the ring road, but the motorway was cancelled, meaning a dual carriageway was ultimately a waste of money, so building was stopped, and now we've got some short bits of pointless dual carriageway.
And this brings us to the end of the Coventry Ring Road. We could go round again, but let's not. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Go on then.